What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your normal Sunday evening. This is Matic TV, and the Inter United podcast is back finally. No Europa League interruptions, no other football getting in the way, no stupid kickoff times, and it was only right I brought on a complete mishmash, mix-up, different personalities. Just as I say that, there comes the other one right now into today's conversation. People, hope you're doing well. And congratulations, everybody. England has hit, summertime. Look forward. It's lashing it down. It's dark. It's miserable. It's cold. So, yeah, it is. British summertime is here, people.
Yeah, it is lashing it down. It is lashing it down.
Said, mate, I'm loving them silk curtains, mate. You are rocking it today, man.
I don't know what the mum's done, innit? You know what I mean? Just shout at the mum, innit? You know what I mean? She just sorted it out. But, yeah, I thought I'd switch to this background and give you something, international break and whatnot. Liven up the mood, eh?
That's it, mate. That's it. We'll get into that in a minute, actually. But quickly, let's get through the guests. We've got Dave with us from Stadiums for Ants. We've got Said TV. My man Tim's back after a long time out. He's been working hard. Looks like he's lost a bit of weight there as well, Tim. You're putting the hours in, mate. And Owen, my man. Owen's going to take us through everything international football in just a minute. I'm sure he's excited about that.
Let's not talk about international football.
We're going to get through it. Guys, the topic is there in the title. No, it's not clickbait. Manchester United, breaking four-letter word space and a question mark. Breaking news, breaking down, breaking fans, whatever you want to say. All of that is in this video tonight, and we're going to talk about all of it. So, getting into it, first of all, we've not seen a few faces, actually, for a while. But, Dave, I'm going to come to you first, mate. How is life, mate? Everybody, Dave is not a million miles away now from moving over to this side of the pond. Dave, fill us in, mate. What's happening, pal?
Yeah, I'm super excited. We're launching a little business in Amsterdam here in September. So I'm just wrapping up my my master's degree right now, finishing up. I got just 2 or 3 months left. Then it's just pack everything up, get it shipped over, and new chapter of life. It's super exciting.
Oh, good. And Tim, mate, how's life over there in Canada, mate?
Oh, busy, mate. Busy.
How was Keenan Vieira doing? How are the kids, mate?
They're making Easter cards right now, so that'll occupy them for a good 30 seconds, and then I'm sure the mute button will be in full effect at some point.
Nice. Yeah, as always, mate, as always. Anyway, people, let's get into it. We're going to touch on, what is happening right now, really, international-wise, first of all. Sorry, Owen, we'll get to you in a minute, but we're going to just get into our players in particular. Now, we all know squad situation at the moment, guys. We do need some of our players, after watching that Leicester performance, to get a bit of game time. Donny van der Beek, people, has had game time. 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
So excited about that.
Every minute counts. Every minute
better than nothing. You're right, guys. Paul Pogba's had some good game time, which is very important. I would say Anthony Martial's game time is good, but then I've seen he did go off with a knee injury. I don't know how serious that is yet, but we cannot afford any more injuries right now. I mean, Said, mate, in terms of our in terms of our whole international setup, everyone who's on internationals this week, there's no one pulling up trees, mate. I mean, Bruno's not doing much. He's got himself suspended for the next game, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
but we've all seen the mystery goal for Portugal, but I think right now we're just playing that the players come through unscathed, and the players we need get some game time, mate.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's an epitome of the international break, to be honest. I put the England game on and I'm watching it, while doing something. It's not as if I put my full focus on it, I think Martial, it's always like that, isn't it? And it's like Martial had a little bit of silky move. He played it to Dembele. He scored. There's not really much anyone pulling up string, but I feel like that's just the way it is right now. International football, it's not there to be entertained. It's literally go and do a job, go and show you're patriotic, go and show you love your country, and then come back to your club, because eventually club football is where it matters the most. You know what I mean? I know we all do this, last in the Euros and the World Cup, we're singing Southgate, this and that. But in reality, though, nobody really cares about their country. We just want to get back to club football, back to where we belong. You know, except for if you're Owen and you're down in your sorrows this weekend. You know what I mean? It could be different, but
it's coming.
You know,
we'll get his thoughts on it.
It's coming. But for me, let them get home, get back to resume, because we've got a big end to the season. A lot of people are saying, I know, you know, the board, I know they're trying to accept mediocrity, but there's still a big end to the season. My Europa League, maybe finish high as you can. You never know.
So, I mean, Tim, mate, looking at it right now, Saeed's just touched on it there, big end to the season, but still with these internationals, mate, how many of these players are thinking game time, I've got the Euros round the corner here, mate, and where are their heads at with all of this? I'm thinking of Donny, I'm thinking of Martial, these players who aren't getting a lot of club game time at the moment. They're obviously, and there has to be a part of their heads which is thinking summertime and the Euros. You know what? Fans back in stadiums, big stage again. They want to be part of it, mate. And this is going to be interesting last few weeks of the season, because there are a lot of our players who aren't getting game time, and it is affecting call-ups for international duty as well.
Well, you would hope that it has the effect of actually spurring them on and maybe getting them a little bit sharper and keeping them sharp, because realistically, like Saeed said, we got a massive end of the season here. The focus should be on your club. It really should. I mean, you can't look past the end of the season. So it's a case of players who are playing for minutes and playing for call-ups. Then hopefully that has the effect where, you know, they're that bit sharper in training. Maybe the focus is a little bit more laser sharp. Because at the end of the day, like, you can't look past the run in here. You can't.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Dave, mate, I don't know what internationals have been going down your end. I'm not sure if you're that bothered or interested about it. But, I mean, are you going to be getting to the Holland games, getting to plenty of Eredivisie games when you do come over this side of the pond, mate? Is that something you'd be looking forward to? Are you bothered about internationals, mate? Are you like, I would say, good 80% of this fan base, just get it over and get back to normal football as quick as possible?
No, so I'm already working on trying to get an Ajax season ticket. Whether or not that'll happen, we'll see. They're tough to come by. But no,
get Ten Hag over.
Yeah. let me put in a call for you. No, for me, it's probably a little bit of a different mentality. You know, it's the qualifiers and the Euros are really exciting for me because it's not something that we get to experience over here. You know, the U.S. team is, nobody really pays attention until it's World Cup time, and then we always bottle it anyways. So it's kind of like it comes second for us. For me personally, coming over across the pond, it's going to be really exciting. So I plan on watching quite a bit of the Dutch national team, and hopefully Donny will get some more minutes, because he's not getting them at United, and I'm definitely concerned. And I talked to a lot of Ajax fans.
You would say 1-2-0, mate. Is that right?
2-0, or it was 2-0, 2-1.
They beat Jamaica as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they played Jamaica.
Yeah, they did.
The reggae boys.
We could talk about how angry I am at Chelsea for ruining Pulisic's career.
We'll leave that one. I mean, Jamaica is a tough team. Jamaica's a tough team, guys. But I mean, that Luxembourg team, that has got some serious players on it, mate.
I'm about to leave this fucking room. Oh, mate.
Come on, mate.
I looked through their squad, and it was like, most of them.
You know what, Owen, mate? You're on here, mate. You're taking it, mate. You're at least taking it. I asked Mary to come on, and she came up with an excuse saying she's doing another video. I know she really is, but I don't think she even fancied answering questions about Ireland.
The game last night, so I couldn't really back out. So, I mean, there was no. I just couldn't see a world in which we lost to Luxembourg.
Where are they ranked in the world? Does anyone know?
And yet here we are.
Where are they ranked in the world? Do you know?
They are ranked 98th in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Luxembourg
has a population. I think it's like half the size of Dublin. But honestly, I'm fuming. I'm there complaining. Do you know what? I said it on Bits. I was on the football terrace with Bits, and I was saying it. I was like, I complain about Maguire and Lindelof. I'm looking at a centre-back partnership of Kieran Clark and Darren O'Shea. Like, it's just, mate, honestly, it's like going from, getting with Kate Moss to getting off with Sandra, the dinner lady. Like, it's a serious drop in quality, like, honestly.
I was telling these guys Canada ripped Bermuda apart over here in their qualifier. Maybe you guys could play Bermuda.
Mate, I reckon Bermuda would give us a challenge. The way that Stephen Kenny lines us out, it's just brutal, mate. Honestly, I can't. It's just, and I'm looking at the bench, and we're bringing on Troy Parrott to save the day. The geezer got let go by Millwall. He wasn't good enough for Millwall.
Wow.
Mate, it's just depressing. So I'm now looking at like 2026 before we're even considering looking at getting to a tournament.
Jeez, man, it's bad news, isn't it, mate? When you have what you did, you had to deal with United against Leicester, and then you open for that little bit of a break, mate, a bit of a stress-free weekend, and then boom.
Well, we played really well against Serbia and lost, but I was like, do you know what? Yeah, it's a bit of
hey, at least you scored, mate. At least you scored
2 goals, and I was like thinking, do you know what? Now play Luxembourg, handy enough win, and we will move on. Play Qatar, play all the reserves. And then that happened, and I was beyond baffled. That's like us losing to fucking Barnet. Like, that's just honestly one of the worst results in international football ever for Ireland, I think.
Yeah, mate, 100%, mate. I feel for you. I know you're passionate about your international team, not like a lot of England fans, but sometimes you go through these spells when your team is. I mean, I look at that England team right now and I go, how is that losing anything? Yeah. It is ridiculously swamped with play. I look at the Portugal team and
I know you keep nicking players off us. That's why you're so fucking swamped.
Mate, you know what? They watch this show and then they see you marving off, slagging them off, and then they think, nah, forget that. I'm not going with that fan base. It's a disgrace.
He already changed over the prick.
Anyway, that is enough of the international football. We're not going to get into too much of that. Let's talk about the title of this video. Manchester United, breaking news. Is it? No. Because, guys, all I've seen over the last week, 2 weeks, YouTube, other channels, people in the media spouting absolute crap. People, if you believe in anything that is going on right now, then you haven't learned anything over the past few summers. You really haven't. You haven't learned a single thing. I mean, looking at the news and the stories, and then I look at what this club is doing right now, and we can all see the setup, the lineup that we've got in the thumbnail set up there. The structure of this football club has completely changed. It's good to get Dave on because Dave has been big on this and has his opinion on this, and we haven't spoke to him for a long time. So, Dave, I'm going to come to you for this with this first, mate. I'm looking at it, and it's an argument against each phase here. We spoke about this briefly the other day, mate, and it was a case of I put out a tweet the other day that said if Jesse Lingard gets a new contract, then it is quite clear to me he has zero say over any contract negotiations, any players coming in or any sort at this football club. And you said to me, yeah, I said this all along. And then I'm thinking, how are the board then letting Ollie get away with not playing these players that sign these contracts and these players that apparently they have signed? Because I'm thinking if Jesse Lingard gets a deal, Dave, then is he going to play? Because he's behind what I can see, Dan James, Juan Mata, Donny. I mean, Donny's a whole different story again. But, I mean, Dave, in terms of, first of all, we've not spoke to you for a while, the structure, the new directors of football, is it how you thought it would be, i.e. appointments from within, not going out getting the real deal?
Yeah, I think that's the case. And kind of what I've been saying all along is that this looks very much to me like the typical setup that you see in American sports, which makes sense because we have American owners. And I understand that it's unusual and it's kind of offsetting for you guys because it's really out of the ordinary. You guys are used to having your managers making decisions, your managers handed a budget, and that's true across Europe. That's not how this club is operating, and I think that's obvious. We can talk a lot about the game, the man management, that Ollie's clearly making mistakes, and whether he's in over his head is an entirely different conversation. But the firm reality here is that there is a lack of synergy and a lack of synchronization between the board and the decision makers and the money people and Ollie and his staff. Again, whether Ollie and his staff are the right men for the job is almost irrelevant at that point, because you've got people who are making decisions not based on football. I wonder sometimes, did they go out and sign Donny van de Beek to prevent him from going to Liverpool? Did Edwin van der Sar call up United and say, hey, Liverpool's onto this guy. If you want him, we'll give him to you for 40? I really wonder about little things like that, because nothing else seems to make sense, right? Like, I'm just trying to be logical here. Something doesn't add up. And part of it we'll never know, right? Because you'll never get the insight. But there is a real serious lack of pieces, parts working together. And I think that trickles down further than any of us would like to admit. Yeah, I mean, Tim, I've not spoken to you for a while. I'll get Owen and say his opinion on this in a minute. The club aren't. Oh, sorry. If Ollie isn't in control of anything, contract-wise, player signing-wise, or anything like that. But then again, the other news that's been circulating is, of course, Ollie actually getting a new contract. So where does that sort of fit in? It goes down, again, similar to what Dave was just saying there, cohesion within sides. The same, we're all believing one thing, that we're backing Ollie because the board hasn't backed him. But then it's quite clear he hasn't got a say in transfers. But then the board are giving him another contract. It's completely mixed up, mate. So for me, I don't think a new contract for Ollie right now is the right thing to do. I don't think it's going to help us in any way whatsoever. But if he did get that contract, mate, what in your eyes would be backing the manager? Because a manager is just a yes man if he agrees to that contract, knowing that he's got no control over signings, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, it just reeks of the Glazers and Woodward doing what they always do. They love to promote from within. They love to sign players that they have to new deals. Let's not forget, this is the same board and owners that signed Phil Jones to a monster contract while Ole. If you ever wanted any indication that the manager doesn't make footballing decisions, that Phil Jones deal was signed while Solskjaer was still the interim manager. So how much say did Solskjaer have in agreeing to that? Because he didn't even have the job. So clearly that decision was made by the board. Giving Ole a new deal, of course they're going to do it, because in their eyes, he's succeeding. The barometer for success at this football club is top 4, because they can make money, they get back into the Champions League, and they can take some of that money out of the football club, and they don't have to spend as much. We've seen. You look at what I think the Glazers in non-Champions League qualification summers, the average spend is 160 million pounds. It halves when we qualify for the Champions League. And so basically we're spending 80 million pounds with all that money that we're so in their minds, he is succeeding. That is the barometer for success. I think what we've talked about with Solskjaer is, when you look at the players that they're going, I think he's trying to mitigate the ineptness of the board and the owners by going out and trying to bring in these young players that he knows that Ed will be able to succeed in bringing in, and not getting bullied in the transfer market for high-level transfer targets in competition with other clubs. And he's bringing in the likes of Diallo. He's bringing in the likes of Palestri. And I think that maybe I'm giving him a bit too much credit here, but I think that him and his staff, with what they did with dropping some of the members of his staff down to the academy to make that transition easier for players, is he's trying to develop those players and mitigate the ineptness of the people that work above them, and develop those players and bring them through.
Side, mate, I mean, interesting what Tim says there. It is what a lot of fans are thinking. I was going to bring this comment to you, Side, mate. Not only a yes man, he wants to be in this job. Imagine getting a £9 million contract and not taking it. I mean, it's a fair point. It is a fair point. He isn't going to turn that down, is he?
No,
no man would.
No man, even I wouldn't, mate. You know what I mean. And I don't want to work for Man United, to be honest.
Saeed for manager.
Well, bloody hell, mate! I changed a whole lot, mate. Crazy sight, man. The thing is, for me, and I tweeted yesterday. For me, it baffles me, and I agree with David as well. It baffles me, absolutely baffles me, because when you look at it, you've got a player who they deem not good enough for the squad, and then behold, he's got another club. Let's say David Moyes has better coaches, because I feel like Man United, the coaches around Solskjaer are absolutely awful. So let's say David Moyes has better coaches. He's gone there, fresh idea, fresh system, a different style of play, and he's absolutely oozing. And then the football club, I thought, ooh, that sounds a bit of money there. You know what? Why don't we bring him back to the football club, sign a contract, let's see, West Ham, pay up. Essentially, they say pay up, really. And they say to West Ham, right, this player is valued now at 25 to 30 million now. When in reality, you'd probably say last season, he was probably worth about 15, 20 max. Now you're talking about 25, 30. That's what I mean. This football club is a business. And it absolutely is scary, man. The way the way their thought process. Because for me, there's a guy called Neil Ashton, and he's basically
your best mate. He's Saeed's best mate.
Well, it's not really my best mate. That's what Nuruddin kind of says all the time. But you know what it is, Neil Ashton is basically briefing the press and saying all these things, and the press are latching onto it, creating a story, and they're making out that Man United are, trying to work within and making Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for me, whether I think of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or not, they're trying to make him look like a saint. You know what? He's trying to keep the players. He's trying to keep that Manchester mold. He's trying to do it from within. When reality, he's not going to play, mate. He's not going to play. Again, they knew what they did. Eric Byers come out and already clocked on. Eric Byers come out this week said they only want me to sign a deal because then the money's better for the Glazers and they can pocket all that money. That's all they're doing. And they won't put one penny into this football club. It's literally like a PR, man. We are a club that is just built on PR, money, and it's like almost Man United have become the biggest cash cow in world football. And for me, when I look at it, mate, something needs to be done, man. You know what I mean? And us fans cannot be mugged off again, man. We cannot be mugged off again and told lies about, you know what? But it's good for the football club to sell Lingard. We need that money. Listen, that money's not going to come to the football club. So what's the point? That's why people had said, you know what, Adam, when we had that chat, and he said, you know what, I wouldn't mind getting relegated. If it meant that the Glazers would leave for the long run better this football club. I always said to myself, but I love this football club. I don't want it ever to happen because then it means I suffer. But sometimes you got to suffer to earn the reward and earn the kind of, the longevity of where you want to be and get these kind of parasites out of you, man. You know what I mean? It's like the relationship, you know what I mean? You might love her, but at the end of the day, man, sometimes you got to move on. And that's what Man United are in right now. We've got to move on. And these guys that are controlling our football club, they're only doing it for any kind of money gain or money kind of advantage there is possible. It's crazy.
Just to add one more thing, like the Glazers do spend money. The problem is where we spend the money, and how they spend it. They don't spend to improve the football club. They spend money to accumulate more money. So when we look at going to the transfer window when we don't qualify for the Champions League, they're spending that 160 million, knowing, oh boy, we better get in the top 4 next year because we'll get it back. That's it.
That's it.
That's why that's why I get frustrated, and I know that everybody falls into it, right? Because we get back into the swing of things, and the fixtures start coming thick and fast, and everybody wants to talk about the play on the pitch, the team selections, all these decisions, but it's bigger than that. The problems here are so much bigger than that. And if we look back on the things that happened with Moo and the things that happened with Van Gaal and the things that happened with Moyes, there's a lot of similarities there. So it's like, I just feel like arguing about Ollie is just spinning wheels. And not that he's blameless, you know what I mean? It's not that he's blameless. It just doesn't mean anything.
Owen, what Dave said there, mate. I'll bring in Dan's super chat. Cheers, Dan, as always, mate. Loving the show, guys. Keep up the great work. I hate the Glazers, but they're not going anywhere. I think we've all got this. We all know now, Owen, that they're not going anywhere, mate. So how do we start to win trophies with them? That then brings up the Ole Solskjaer subject, mate.
That's
And
right. Yeah, go on. I'll let Owen
this
go
is
first.
it, because we know where the problems are. I think it's quite clear.
Knows my Ollie sexuality as it has been described in the comments.
But even do you know what, Owen, mate? You know what, mate? I know you've backed him. I know you've disagreed with, like, saying certain things, mate. But
It's
even
banner,
you
though,
have been. It is. Oh yeah. No, we don't take things to heart here on this channel, guys. We're men, so we don't have to worry about that sort of thing. But Owen, mate, you've even stressed it. You've broke it down, mate. You're a fan. You're a match-going fan, and you feel it. I've been there with you, mate, after every game, and it looks like this team just hasn't gone out there with a plan, hasn't been coached. How do we start to turn this around with the situation we've got? That is not going anywhere, mate. We're stuck with the Glazers. There's not a man rich enough in the world to buy him who really wants to buy a football club right now. It would be a momentous day and a world record in terms of buying a football franchise, whatever you want to call it. But we have to deal with what we've got right now. Lingard wouldn't play, mate. For the sake of his career, you would say stay at West Ham, wouldn't you?
No, definitely for Jesse. Like, I love Jesse. I've loved him.
I know, mate. That's why I brought you in on it.
Yeah, no, but I love Jesse, and he gave me a brilliant moment with that FA Cup winner, as I always say. But he needs to, for his career, if he wants to have a chance of playing with England at the 2022 World Cup, he needs to be playing regular games, and he won't get that at Man United. He needs to stay at West Ham, or if West Ham, I don't think they're going to stump up 30 million quid for him. I can't see that happening, and I see United maybe really wanting that. So maybe he moves somewhere else, but he's definitely not needed in the squad anymore. And I mean, talking about the parasites that run the club, I mean, I don't think it's Ollie's fault. But again, he's not the best manager in the world. I don't think he's the one that's going to win us a league title. I think he's brought us as far as he probably can. But I feel like, as Tim was saying earlier, they're happy enough with top four every season. So that's just what it's going to be. If Ollie consistently gets that, and a couple of trophies within it, they're happy out. I don't think they're going to go and try and break the bank to get a new manager in. I think Ollie is probably going to be here now for another couple of years, unless something drastically bad happens. Unless there's a massive fall off and we finish 6th or 7th, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility. But I mean, they're just parasites, and they're going to suck every pound out of the club. City have had $1 billion pumped in, we've had $1 billion taken out. That's just the way you got to look at it in the last 10 years. They've, Adam, me, and you might as well have bought the club. That they haven't put a pound into their own actual money. They put in the own revenue from the club, and then taking dividends while still getting a £60 million loan for operating costs this year. And I mean, if anyone's sat in the top tier in Sir Alex Ferguson's stand, you can see that the roof is actually fucking leaking, and we're supposed to be the biggest club in England, one of the biggest in the world, and we've got a fucking leaky roof in our stadium. Like,
I could fix that as long as it's
Old
a
Trafford
very small league.
Old Trafford needs some renovation. It hasn't been renovated for 20 years. Like, it needs renovation, but it's just not going to happen with these horrible bastards in charge of us.
I mean, inside, mate, it's come to a stage now where I think we've had the Glazer ownership while Ferguson was in charge, and I think we even seen problems starting to arise, but we just ignored them because we was winning. That was the truth. That was the truth, mate. But I'll ask you this, mate: have we let the players get too comfortable and too powerful at this football club for anyone else, any other managers to come in now and change an ethos, an attitude, just like that? And I'll use an example of Tuchel at Chelsea right now. Chelsea chop and change managers, and I think it's embedded in their DNA as players at Chelsea that they know another manager's 2 years away. I don't think United have approached this properly, and I think they are too far behind from the earlier mistakes now, which is a big problem. Because I don't think if another manager came in now and started crapping the whip, that these wet-wiped asses that we've got as players at times, mate, are going to go for it. And is there a danger that downing tools could happen again? Because we're the third highest paid squad in the world football, mate. And we're nowhere near that in terms of quality. Yeah. So have we let it get too far with the players as well, mate?
No, absolutely. You know, I mean, the plays for me, you know, I mean, subpar, mate. You know, especially against Leicester, the plays are on as much stick than the manager's getting. Is this a problem? What I've got with is the fact that you mentioned Tuchel. I'm looking at Van Gaal, yeah, and I know Van Gaal's football was very, very boring, but that was for me when the last manager we had was a proper coach. I'm looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think, can the players earn or get the respect from the manager purely on the coaching, or is it based on nostalgia? And I think most of them do base their respect on, you know what, he's a United legend, he's done it before, he's played under Ferguson, this guy must know what's best for this football club. But when you're deep and you unravel Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think a lot of players are now kind of, for me, not playing to their best potential. And there's a few reasons why. A, for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not a coach. And the people that will say he is, he's already said it himself. He said he's not a coach, he's a manager. He's come out with quotes and he said, I don't have enough time on a training ground. Again, what does that give the confidence of players or whatnot? What we're doing? What's the game plan? What's the style of play? What are we embedded into? And I almost think as well, there's a lot of favoritism in this football club. And I feel like the players now are starting to think, you know what? Even if I give 100%, I might play next game. There's one player that particular that's been mentioned with that is Eric Bailly. He's come out now. Yeah. There's a few murmuring going on that apparently Eric Bailly is a bit like, you know, well, I played them 5 games in January and all of a sudden Victor Lindelof's come out of nowhere and he's playing. What sort of nonsense is that? You're looking at Van der Beek. What was he bought for? You know, he's on the bench right now. And we did it for me. I did a video about Man United's team in terms of ranking. There's a lot of players who are in the NA bracket. I mean, not applicable for me to judge them this season. How bad is that, people? We're looking at Twanzebe. We're looking at, for me, I'm looking at borderline Matic. I can't really judge him this season because he's come in and out on flashes this team. He's never had a consistent basis where he's played 2 or 3 games. Then you've got the likes of Brandon Williams, 6-year contract. What is he here for? Quan Mato. Listen, I don't know if he's got personal problems or not, and I hold my hand up if I'm wrong. But what's going on with him? Where's the explanation? You know, and for me, there's a lot of principles for me when I look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think the same back two, the same square in McTominay and Fred. There's no adaptability, and I think for me, as a whole, a better coach would underline them problems. And I look at it next season, I think we're going to have the same problems next year. And it'll get back to December, like Owen says, yeah, and it will be very, very unstuck to the point where it'll be another Mourinho, where you'll be like, you know what? Let's cut our losses now. We're nowhere near top 4. Let's cut our losses like Lampard, and let's do it like that. Because I just look at the football principles, and yes, the owners are the biggest problem. I understand that fully. But the footballing principles, for me, I just look at them and I think, for me, they're weak, man. And I don't know how you build it next season. Well, Liverpool will be better next season. Let's not mark our words. Man City will be better. And Chelsea will be up there. So can we have the same repeat of this season, next season, when reality we're 20 points behind Man City? You know, I don't know, man. I'm a bit lost for words, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you a question. Mate. Yeah, let me ask you specifically. Everything that you just said, I 100% agree with, but don't you think you could have said the exact same thing when Mourinho was the coach, when Van Gaal was the coach, and when Moyes was the coach?
Massively. For me, Moyes is always let me answer that common
denominator? That's what I'm saying.
I understand that. No, I understand that. Let me just ask you, the Moyes one was always a story that was never going to happen.
No, fair enough.
I mean, let's the Jose Mourinho one, it became toxic because of his own personality. I don't think it was really down to coaching. It was in terms of own personality, it became a toxic environment. And that for me, I can never
all of it.
No, okay, it's a part of it, but for me, it's a big part. What I'm going to try to say to you is that's one problem. I look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and I think, yes, the board are the problem, but is he fixing his own problems? That's my issue.
I hear you.
The substitutions. Go on.
My question, though, is if that's the case, what makes us think that anybody else is going to be any different? Well, you know what I mean? There is no Sir Alex in the world right now, right?
I
understand that.
This is an ownership group.
That's it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, who are you going to bring in that's going to be any different from what we've seen for the last 10 years?
It's an ownership group that took one of the greatest managers of all time in Mourinho and reduced his barometer of success to a second-place finish in the Europa League. He called that second-place finish one of his best seasons. Think about that. Everything that man has accomplished in this game.
And that's my concern.
Can I ask you a question, David?
Because,
can I ask you a question, David? If you have a gas leak, and I need someone to fix it, are you going to say after about 2 or 3 and the gas is still leaking? Are you just going to leave it like that?
No, of course.
You're going to find someone to fix it.
Of course.
You have to find
but you bring the fucking landlord and get the landlord to fix it. That's the
right, and this is the problem.
Okay, yeah.
And this is the problem.
I didn't know it was going to be a tier 1 then, but yeah.
Because we're going to ring up our landlord. We're going to say, hey, mate, there's a gas leak. I need you to fix it. And they're going to say, okay, well, we'll have to wait until the summer or maybe the winter. We'll see what happens.
My question was if you own the house. What about if you own the house? What about you if you own the house, David?
But he doesn't. That's the whole point.
I mean,
he doesn't.
I mean, it's quite. I mean, we touched on it already there, but I mean, Tim. I mean, you was going to come on and talk with me. Me and Bobs were talking about the youth team the other day, and Saeed's touched on Eric Bailly there. We're talking about Ollie Solskjaer and dealing with the likes of Lingard right now. But Nicky Butt, mate, is that a sign that people are actually getting fed up with what's actually going on behind the scenes right now as well?
Yeah, and it's a sign of what happens with this football club is that they want people in charge that won't question them. Mourinho questioned them, he got sacked. Nicky Butt gets into a bust up with John Murtaugh on the training ground. And then the Glazers, I mean, what kind of selection process went into hiring John Murtaugh for this role? Because if you listen to Nicky Butt, it wasn't even put out internally for anyone else within the club. And you look at what Nicky Butt has done with the academy and the work he's putting in. Maybe Nicky Butt would have been the type of person to give John Murtaugh some competition for that position. So it makes you start to wonder, you know, is this man just going to be eyes and ears for the owners and for Ed? Is he really going to have the impact that we all hope that he has? Losing Nicky Butt this far down the line in this project is a big loss, because he was on board with working with Mark Dempsey, who obviously dropped from his coaching role at the first team to make that transition to the academy to bring through that talented young group that we have. So you just lost the head of your academy when you're really making this transition to promoting your academy and you're relying on your academy to produce first team players and transcend big money moves and go back to how it was, where we used to promote players and then we go out and buy players around, you know, players that we needed would come in after we promoted. So the Nicky Butt thing is it's just absolutely asinine. I can't believe that happened.
I mean, Owen, mate, I mean, the proof here could be in the pudding. And by that, I mean, if we don't hear anything from Nicky Butt this summer or whenever he gets a chance to talk, is that a sign of how this club deals with things in terms of paying people off? Because Van Gaal's only said certain things. David Moyes, very restricted in what he says. Jose Mourinho, very similar. There's not much talk about any bad going-ons at Manchester United when anyone leaves, mate. So could this be proof in the summer if we don't hear anything from Nicky Butt? I mean, he's the first person who's just got up and left. So this is big, because I think this, from what I can remember, is the only man who with any sort of significance or sort of passed with the football club just to get up and go like this and then not say anything afterwards because of the passion he's got for the football club, which we all know. 9 years, mate, in the job. It's no mean feat. I mean, if he doesn't come out and say anything, could this be exactly what United fans needed as proof that, you know what, this isn't right and there are serious issues behind the scene?
Yeah, but I just think it would be written in all of their contracts that they all have a certain time period where they're not allowed to talk anything on the club. And in all fairness, you don't want the Glazers, you know, bringing a massive legal case after you for slander because you've come out and slated them in the media, and they're just basically he has to cover his own back as well. The likes of Nicky Butt and Mourinho as well, and Van Gaal were getting big payoffs. So I'm assuming there would have been, you know, a massive thing written in their contract. Once you get this payoff, they're not allowed to speak about anything regarding the club, or only allowed to speak about certain things for 10 years.
Dictatorship, isn't it? It's a dictatorship.
NDAs and embargoes.
It's the way it works, and it's sad, but that's how it is, and there's no way it's happening. I mean, we were looking at the youth team and that's probably one of the only shining lights at the minute. Is that the 18s are top of the league at the minute, the 23s are doing quite well. I mean, you're just sort of praying that them lads come through, and you know, sort of another class of 91, like it's class of 92 even, sorry. Class of 92 sort of vibes with, you know, the likes of Jimmy Garner, Charlie McNeil, George Hugo. Like, there's a lot of good players coming through that youth team. So you're just sort of hoping that they can come through and leave a bit of a legacy for Nicky Butt. But, you know, we're clutching at straws here, man. It's just been such a poorly run club, and as Saeed alluded to, there, it's a complete dictatorship. AC's got it bang on. North Korea FC, mate. Nothing's coming out of this club at all.
I mean, Dave, mate, are we on a course to accidentally, with all this crap going on, fall into, dare I say it, the old United way? Because if we're not going to spend money, mate, this youth team is all we've got to rely on, and we have got some talent in there.
So this is my thing, and I see a lot of people in the comments that don't agree with what I'm about to say, which is fine. But, you know, again, I'm looking back over the course of the last 8-10 years, and the problems reoccur no matter who the manager is. So I don't personally have any faith that it's going to be any different no matter who else you hire if you wanted to get rid of Ollie. I have zero faith that anything changes. So if that's true, wouldn't you rather have someone in the job who knows the club and loves the club and really understands the club? Because like you guys said earlier, you kind of have, you've got this person in a position where they have to mitigate against what their bosses are doing. It's a give and take, and there's no great answer here. But at the end of the day, I think you're probably better off with somebody who knows the internal workings and can mitigate to some degree.
I mean,
otherwise, you're just gonna have a yes man. I don't want a yes man. That's the last thing we do.
Going the other side, mate. Going the other side of that side, mate. I mean, could you just say, look, this new structure that's in place now, is the only way forward in this now is to bring in a man who is just going to coach and just treat it as a let's just say a college team and say, look, these are the kids coming through. Or you could even say, look, this an international manager style. You get what you're given. And you're not going to have any say in the football club. You're not going to have any say in anything else. You go and coach that team. Is that the only way forward?
You know what? That's the only way forward. I don't know if you see what Tuchel said when he came in the football club. He goes, if I don't win anything or I don't, meet my targets, I'm going to be sacked. So if I've got 18 months, I've got 18 months. But and the mentality is because Comilli said, you know what? I'm going to coach the players to my level and let's see what the people say. And now to this stage, every single fan, Chelsea fan, is lauding Thomas Tuchel, and rightly so. For me, we just need a cultural reset in terms of coaching. We need these players to be coached, and that is my problem. Under Mourinho, it was toxic football. It was, these guys were playing part of the bus football. It was very, very, very ugly. They won things, and rightly so, they won things. But when you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and you look at what's being created right now, especially with the coaching staff, I don't have zero trust in them coaching staff to coach these players to the level we need to be at. Going out of the 4 or 5 semi-finals, is it good enough? And some of the reasons were tactical, barring Sevilla, because I think Sevilla won, we should have beat them. But the other ones were tactical decisions, playing 5 at the back against Chelsea. What was the need for that? At home against Man City in a one leg, guys. What? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have took the handbrakes off and went for it. And obviously, the same one with Leicester. 4 substitutions all in one. Why don't you just assess the game? This is what a level-headed coach would do, and that's my only issue here. And I know the Glazers are the biggest problem, but the Glazers don't tell you to bring 4 substitutions at once. Well, for me, Van der Beek was having a good game. Tellez was having a near decent game. For me, not adequate to take him off. For me, that's my own opinion. You see, then you bring on 2 players, maybe Bruno and Cavani, and then we go more direct and we go more forward. That would have been sufficient. But to do 4 at one goal, man, these are the kind of level decisions I think a better coach would bring. And I think we need that right now. You know?
David and Saeed can both be right.
Yeah, 100%.
You guys are both right.
No, absolutely. Yeah. But was it? And this is what I'm saying, though, mate. It's like you're absolutely right. But can't you say the same thing about Van Gaal? Also, you mentioned what it was like under Mourinho, and that's fair enough. But we were having the same conversation with Van Gaal.
Yeah, the thing with Van Gaal is, I thought for me he was building something when he won the FA Cup. Right? Did everyone say it was a harsh sacking? Was it a justified sacking at that point?
I was never his fan. I was never a big Van Gaal fan, as everyone knows. But to sack him after winning a trophy, I thought was pretty harsh. It was harsh.
Do you remember all the videos when we announced? Because we announced it about an hour after we won the FA Cup. I remember being outside Wembley. People were fucking celebrating as if we'd won another trophy when we were appointing Mourinho. Like, people forget that. Like, we were delighted Van Gaal went.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was happy. I thought we'd cracked it by getting Mourinho in, mate. I honestly thought that at the time. I thought next level manager.
Everybody thought that. Right. Everybody thought that. Yeah. But so if we're now operating as a business entity, we're now operating very much in the Arsenal vein. I think we can all agree on that, right? Like
Dave, on that
is being operated.
On that note, mate.
We've
on that note, Dave.
Economics, but that's the system.
Prem Prodigy there with the super chat pretty much says exactly what you're just about to get into. There, people bang on about high standards, but how now we are saying, I just want a coach to be good enough and play good football. But we will become the new Spurs with that approach, mate.
But here's my thing: if we're operating from a business perspective of fourth is good enough, that's what the Glazers want, that's what the ownership wants, because that's what's bringing in the finances that they're looking for out of this. But then you also want to operate like Chelsea, where you've got a new coach coming in every 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't care what
they've won more. They've won more though. They've won more in recent years.
They don't work on but they don't work on the Arsenal financial model, right? The Chelsea financial model is not what Arsenal does, and it's not what we do. They have a very different economic policy. I'm saying Tim, you couple the Chelsea history of changing a manager all the time with the Arsenal economic model, forget it. This is over.
Yeah, and now, Tim, mate, I mean, there's talk about with the pandemic and everything being affected by it, that financial fair play could be absolutely kiboshed. So everything that everyone has been putting in, it's just going to play right into the hands of the Chelseas and the Man Cities. And I think we'll see complete domination. There's no way, and we're talking about United and their ownership. True, Saeed said then he doesn't think that Liverpool will come back as bad. I think Liverpool are on the same track as United. Same style ownership, only put in what the club makes, never dip into their own pocket. The only reason they bought so many players because they sold so many. And they've got an aging squad now. And there's no sign of Liverpool investing anywhere near enough to maintain that squad because their front three are all coming to the end of contracts. And no financial fair play, Tim, mate. This could be leading down a road of disaster for the likes of United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, who work on a budget, who try and stay within the means of financial fair play. But right now, you can see these big owners, rich owners, rubbing their hands together, mate. And it's, as much as we like to keep it fair, I don't think it's going to work out that way coming in, mate.
We already saw it with the last window with Abramovich, right, and the money that he sunk in, and the amount of players that came in. I think with the difference with Liverpool is that when the pandemic is over, and the Fenway Sports Group is bringing in money, that they've got a competent setup there with Michael Edwards, and their setup is proper in the way they do their business. So when the funds are available, I think that's the difference between Liverpool and us.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as
in terms of running it, Tim, mate. I mean, we just seen the Bucks nail down a few more contracts to stabilize a pretty decent squad. Don't get me wrong, Super Bowl winners. So I'm looking at what you said there, then, and going, they've got a pretty stable setup going on there in Fenway, but in terms of the Glazers now nailing down these contracts to players, it's looking like they're doing right for the NFL team. But
I mean, you're talking. The difference there, though, Adam, is you're talking about for a freak of nature and Tom Brady that just can. That it's like the equivalent. It would be like the equivalent of.
It's like signing Messi.
Yeah, like signing Messi of world football. Like
it's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. In NFL football,
even a blind squirrel finds an acorn in terms of the glazer.
That's right.
So in terms of
all you need is a great quarterback. If you have a great quarterback in the NFL, you can win the Super Bowl. That's it. You can't do that in world football.
Well, Liverpool would say with Van Dijk they would win everything. Same thing, isn't it?
No,
I have a lot of Dutch friends who would probably agree with that.
To go back.
I swear,
to go back to your original,
dead because I've seen so many fucking memorials when he got injured.
Oh my God. I know. I mean, looking at what we've got right now, knowing the way we're going forward, guys. Before we finish up, I'm going to look at some certain players now that are struggling for form at Manchester United, and this is where I start to worry about the coaching setup. It is the drop off for the likes of Martial, Greenwood, Lingard not getting a space in the team, Donny not getting a spot in the team. I mean, Martial for one.
Pereira coming
this
back.
Is it.
You know?
This is it, guys. Saeed, I mean, I'll come to you. We'll talk on Martial right now because it just looks like he isn't going to get the break he needs this season. This looks like it's going to be his worst season, in his professional footballing career. Has only got what it takes to turn a play around, because that was a big investment for Manchester United, and he's probably one of our hopes for the future. If he can't turn around the young players at this football team, is that then a telltale sign that, you know what, us as fans, knowing what the owners are going to do, there's not much hope?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know, for me, when I look at it and I think about the coaching levels, I don't know what happened last season, but last season we had a kind of almost like a solid identity in terms of And you know what? Yeah, as much as I called it freestyle football, the Matic in there with the Pogba and the Bruno worked. Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right, Martial through the middle. For me, it was a solid back line as well. You know, you knew what you were getting. All of a sudden, 6-1 happens, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't know what happened, but he's come out with this. I don't know if it's a defeatist mentality or it's a kind of a, you know, when you've been defeated, that, you know, that with that 6-1, it's almost as if his mind's changed and he's thought, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't play attacking football. I've not got the coaching abilities. I don't have the backroom staff to do attacking football. I can't do it. And since then, he's had that box. And I call it, for me, the toxic box. I call it Maguire, Lindelof, McFred. That for me, that four is what's destroying Man United in terms of ever achieving what they want to do. And I'm talking just general coaching abilities and like play style. That for me, I look at and I think Martial, everything is included. So if you have that box right there, and Bruno is the sole creator, and then you haven't got that much kind of, because you're looking at how many times this season, how many have Cavani and Martial, 3 touches in the box, 2 touches in the box, 0 chance created against Leicester. We're talking about Leicester, 0 chances created. So for me, it can only, I understand Martial could do bits of magic and whatnot, but you're only going to get expected goals. Last season, he averaged, I think, a high of expected goals. No one expected him to score that many goals for Man United. This season, when the chances dried up, he was shown for what he is. But I look at the solid foundations in what the system is built on, and for me, it's very, very fragile. And I look at can Ole coach these guys back to the level? Greenwood, back to you only look at Foden tonight and see the levels of how Foden and Greenwood have been coached to a certain level. And it makes you wonder, man, what is the real problem? I know the Glazers are the real problem, but in terms of Ole, can he coach these guys back to the level that they have to be at? And I'm not too sure. That's my own opinion.
I mean, Tim, do we need to change that coaching setup? Simple as that.
He's not going to do it, though.
Has he got the balls to do it?
I think.
Is it his decision?
I think probably. I think it's at the point where maybe.
Sorry, Tim. He brought them all there, David. You can't question that. He brought McPheelan. He brought all that his friends there, mate. That's all his friends right there.
Yeah, but is it his decision whether they stay or go? Aside from their personal, like a Nicky Butt situation.
I think he has that level.
We don't know.
I think we don't know, but I'm guessing he would have a say on his staff.
He'd have that level
at least.
I hope so. Yeah. I would certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I think that Saeed, I think you're half right. I think that what you said about the toxic box is 100% the case here. But I don't think that it's because he's looking in the mirror and saying, well, I'm not a good enough coach. I don't have the coaching chops to bring up the levels. I think he's looking at it and he's saying, we have to play these two central defenders for better or for worse. And I have to protect them. And so it's about in my mind, it's about personnel. It's,
yeah. I'm not well up on coaches around the world. I don't know particular names, but I do know that the best managers in the world have the best coaches around them. I think that's a given, mate. And I'm not saying Ollie's anywhere near the best manager in the world, not by any stretch of the imagination. Is that an issue, mate? Would a coach come in looking at what United are right now? I look at United before coming in and going, you know what? Maybe that sort of player power, toxic environment isn't the right place for me. Tim.
Sorry, mate. I thought you were going to someone else. I kind of spaced out there for a minute, but I think what you're asking about was whether a coach would come in. I don't even know if we've replaced. Have we replaced Darren Fletcher? Because I know that he came on and he was supposed to be, when they brought him in, they touted him as this massive tactician and somebody that could, sit from his perch and help to communicate to the coaching staff in terms of, in-game management, how they should tactically attack teams. I think that kind of in a roundabout way, set with what Saeed's saying, that's where it breaks down for me a lot of times. Is at times there doesn't seem like there's a plan B, and they just seem so rigid sometimes in their deployment of players and tactics, called favoritism or whatever it is, that I don't like. Sometimes you'll be sitting there watching a game and you'll be screaming, like we see it and we're screaming out for it, and Twitter is going nuts like Twitter does. But I mean, most level, like that level of, you give a lot of credence to level-headed supporters that watch these things, and like they're all screaming for it, and we can see it, and it doesn't change, and the substitution patterns are wonky sometimes. So whether a top level assistant is going to want to come in, I think that, we're not privy to everything that goes on behind the scenes, but I think that just kind of, I don't know. I really don't. But I do think that in terms of where this unit is at, certainly, since we were top of the league, I didn't expect us to win the league. No one expected us to win the league. It was great to be top, but the performances since then have really dropped off, and tactically and substitution wise, it hasn't been great at times. That's for sure.
Yeah, Owen, mate, is what Tim just said there pretty much the whole club. No one expected us to be challenging for the league. Does that roll down into the coaching staff? Does that then roll down into the players? And does that then explain why we had such a massive drop-off in terms of performance from the players after going top of the league, mate? People say bottling it.
We didn't bottle it. We weren't in it, really. We all got giddy. It wasn't. Looking back on it in hindsight, we all got giddy. It was never going to happen. We're a poorly run club from top to bottom. We were talking about the point there about Liverpool in terms of them spending money, and your man Michael Edwards. He's a great. Danny Ings hadn't played football for 4 years and got 20 million quid for him. Like when have we ever got more than 15 mil for a player? Apart from Ronaldo, that one off. When have we ever got 10, 15 million quid for a player? Nothing's coming. We never sell on players for a good fee. We're
useless at it, mate. We're useless at it.
We're absolutely terrible in the transfer market, and we always pay over the odds. So just a poorly run club from that perspective. So Liverpool will be doing well, and I think Dave made a great point there that we're looking like the Arsenal model now, and the Arsenal model is sort of early 2010s of just top four, cushy money for the Champions League, and and sort of in a way like Chelsea, but not like not if you're not getting the title. If you're not going to get the top four, then you'll change the manager. Heavy rotations in terms of manager, but it's not going to be with the same ambitions as Chelsea. It's going to be with if you're mathematically impossible to get top four, you're gone.
I mean, Dave, before we finish up, mate, I mean, looking at everything in the way it's broke down behind the scenes recently with United, Liverpool, American owners, them spearheading the push for a Super League, then it now looks like UEFA have buckled by possibly going, well, we can't do that, but we can now maybe expand the Champions League to top 6 places. Pretty much giving in to the big guns and getting as Americanized as you humanly possibly can in terms of Premier League football, because top 6 for Champions League, that's the Glazers' job done. That's job done, isn't it?
Yeah, it's dumb. I don't, I didn't fall in love with the game, especially the European version of the game, so that it could be like American sports. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Why I found this in the first place. So it's it's discouraging, but money makes the world go around, I suppose.
Oh, it certainly does. People, we've rabbited on for over an hour already. I can't believe there's so much more to get through. But when you're talking United, the topics fly. Right now, it's not great, but you never know. We never know. We got Brighton at weekends, and we'll be talking normal football again by the end of this week, and nothing to do with the Glazers. We're just going to have to watch what happens this last 2 months of the season, guys. This is it. It's do or die now, and it's going to be interesting. It is, because it is going to be key how these players come back from international duty. But just want to say thanks for everyone in the chat, everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It's bottom right there below Tim. Click on that button, people. Get behind the channel and all of these guys' socials and channels too. We're going to run through them now. Dave, stadiums for Ants on all socials, is it?
All socials, Twitter, Insta. Check us out. We're going to be launching some new projects soon. We've got a new iteration of Old Trafford that we'll be launching together here pretty soon here. Yep. So, give us a follow.
Brilliant stuff. Do check him out, people. Matic TV, it's right there, people. Dead easy to find.
Yeah, that's it. All social platforms, Matic TV, man. Come check me out on there.
That's it. And you know the guy just below Saeed there. Tim, Niagara Red, Niagara MUFC on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, and your YouTube channel, your show you've got there, Tim.
Yeah, at Warwick Road Walk on Twitter, and we did cover the 1983 Cup final run yesterday, all the goals, all the highlights from every game, and broke them down. So check it out. Norman Whiteside, thanks for the shout out for that one.
Brilliant stuff. And you have to give my man Owen a shout out, people. He's dealing with United and Ireland at the moment as his football. His cocktail of football is horrendous right now, so just give him a like.
Beer Garden's open in 2 weeks, though, so it's all good. I've got something to look forward to. Cockney Red 99 on all the socials and on YouTube. Going to be doing a new show this Thursday, looking at the Premier League fixtures. Probably going to have one of the lads on as well, so please give that a like and do subscribe to the channel.
Check them out, people. But for us, for now, guys, that's it. Enjoy what's left of your weekends. Fresh week into British summertime, hopefully. But
tomorrow, we'll 20 degrees tomorrow. Should be good.
20 degrees. Ooh, get the tank tops on. People, we are done. I will see you in the week. We've got loads more stuff coming up. I've got a special show coming on Wednesday as well. Something new that's happening every month also. So do stay tuned for that. There's loads coming up on all the guys on channels as well. So, guys, take care. We'll see you soon. We're out of here.